So Star Citizen has something brand new to show off. This comes from a lot of features that are going to be added into the game over the next few months, and maybe the next few years, depending on how fast CIG get these features out. What we've got here that I'm going to look through today is a demo for Star Engine, the engine that Star Citizen is built upon. Now, this demo was shown yesterday at CitizenCon, the games convention. This was the first day of the convention. We're going to play it now. I haven't watched this all the way through just yet. I've watched the first 7 or 8 minutes or so, but I really wanted to show it all and share it all with you and just talk about my thoughts and feelings about what we're seeing. Now, it starts off in a very surreal way here with, I guess, a conductor creating the universe. Someone like, I guess, Chris Roberts. Okay, so now one thing that's always interested me about space games ever since I started playing them with Elite and Frontier Elite 2 back in Elite 2 was back in the 90s. We've got a 64-bit large world coordinate system here, engine, that allows for all these big, vast environments with some precision accuracy, allowing players to move across them in a multiplayer environment. Like I say, the thing that's always interested me is the ability to travel through the vastness of space, and not that many games have achieved that all that well. Elite Dangerous is one, Star Citizen is another that's always had truly wonderful planets. Starfield has recently tried the same thing, but its lack of seamless features has been a real hindrance to that deep space exploration experience. So yeah, as you saw just now, it did mention seamless planetary landings. We can move all the way from space seamlessly down to planetary surfaces. This is something that's been happening for a while. Planet surface generation on the client and server at different levels of details. So a lot of the processing going on different layers here, some locally, some remotely. New Babbage, the capital of Microtech. So one thing I feel Star Citizen does really well is the cities. It's something that you don't really see in any other space game. Starfield, I guess, has got its own cities now, decent ones with New Atlantis and so on, but I don't know, there's just something about this seamless nature. Of course, whether or not Star Citizen actually looks like this when they get all the updates in is a very different matter altogether. And that looked pretty lively down there, didn't it? No one standing on chairs in T-poses. Now, one thing I've always liked about, not just space games, but always any open world game, is the ability to freely roam. That comes with its own set of problems because obviously a lot of games don't have full-sized planets. Now, I know the planets in Star Citizen are not to one-to-one scale. They're not quite on the scale as you find in Elite Dangerous or Space Engine or anything like that. But they are of significant size, in fact, far larger than what you'll find in most games. If you like playing open-world games such as Cyberpunk or Starfield or Witcher, Skyrim, anything like that, you generally won't have maps anywhere near the size as what you've got here, and that does come with its own set of problems, and it's why you need vehicles like this to travel across them. Now, that's not to say that these big areas are problematic. It's just that, well, they can leave for a lot of emptiness if they're not filled in. Anyway, we're inside here, and one thing I've immediately noticed is there does seem to be the new lighting going on here, and we've seen in the showcase yesterday that CIG are adding ray tracing and global illumination into Star Citizen, and I think that was quite apparent inside that ship there. Looked really nice, and a good look at the clouds here as well. Now, one thing I've always found a bit odd about Star Citizen's slightly smaller than one-to-one scale planets, I think they're 1/10 size, is the fact that the clouds, these type of clouds, tend to touch a bit too close to the upper layer of the planetary atmosphere. It all looks fantastic when you're down at this level, when you're down here. But when you're up high, it makes the world look a little bit weird because the clouds seem to poke out into space. I've always found that a bit odd, but nonetheless, it does look stunning. I think there was let's just go back a second there. we've just got ourselves into a cave here, and it looks like there's a character walking around there with a torch, exploring the caves. So caves is something that I think has been missing from a lot of games that I've played over the years. Always like roaming around environments. Something that I really learned to love with Skyrim, the caves and the dungeons there. And something that no other game has really captured, that sort of mood or environment. I'm not sure if Starfield's going to be able to achieve the same. Really does depend. Let's turn this volume down a little bit here. Really does depend upon what they end up having going on inside those caves, doesn't it? Now the density of that forest looks a lot different to me, to what we've seen before. Looks lovely actually, and you can see the atmospheric scattering going on here and the ground fog. Sunlight shafts through the atmosphere, yeah, and that's kind of, I think, what I was getting at just now. You can definitely see that. I don't know how many of you have spent time out in real-world environments like this, but yeah, this atmospheric scattering does look very realistic. Rivers driving terrain, so I assume that means, let's just pop back again. Modification and object distribution. So yeah, the flow of the river here is having an effect on the way that the terrain is forming in terms of the rocks and the tree lines here, I guess. So whether that's handcrafted and put in place or procedurally generated, I don't know. We can also see definitely the water has been improved here. These reflections are really nice actually. And there is the ship. I gather that's the same ship we were just in a moment ago. I guess the camera seems to be following along there. Dense environment procedural generation based on rule sets. So yeah, this is all procedural, and these environments are definitely more dense than what I've seen so far in Star Citizen when I've been playing it. In fact, this is coming on for being perhaps as close, almost as closely detailed as what we see in some single-player titles actually. Obviously not as good as Red Dead Redemption, but that's a different kettle of fish. This is arguably one of the best online-looking games I've seen so far. Again, nothing we see here is guaranteed until it's on our computers. So this is just a demo. That's how I'm viewing this. Tech that CIG want to introduce one day. I'm not for 1 minute believing or saying that this is in the game right now or anytime soon. But I'm commenting on just what they're showing on here. Dynamic planetary winds driving physics simulation, and that grass looks absolutely gorgeous, and seeing that wind blowing the grass and the flowers a moment ago was really nice as well. Now this is coming up very close to the point I've watched the video to, just a little bit past this. And yeah, as you can see, dynamic ecosystem, generation for flora and fauna. I guess, what, some form of cow maybe going on there. Now what I'm interested in though in here, this is obviously a farm. Is this supposed to be a player owned farm? We've got a spaceship landed there, vehicle out the front. Clearly a solar power farm, a wind power farm back there as well as crops being grown. So yeah, maybe hints they keep talking about selling the dream of base building. No idea when that's coming or if ever, but nonetheless, this all looks pretty nice. And of course, regardless of the planetary sizes here, if and when the base building does make it into the game, there's going to be a whole different kettle of fish of defending your area of land, isn't there? And here we see those cloud systems again. Actually, from this distance, those clouds almost look as good as what I've seen in Microsoft Flight Simulator and DCS World. I don't think the clouds are quite that good yet, even with this improvement, even when we see them up close, but yeah, from that distance, really, really close. And again, that seamless transition from planet up to space. Regardless of what people say, I think with Starfield, I've said in my previous videos on Starfield that I accept the the loading screen there. That is the way that game is, but there's nothing quite like a seamless transition. And here we can see the new quantum tunnel effect. It's very, very different to the effect that's in Star Citizen right now. And I love the way that actually slows down. I hope that makes that into the game, the way it exits the quantum tunnel there. Yella, moon of a Crusader. Real-time large-scale asteroid generation and rendering. Now, it does look to me like this this ring system around the planet is vastly improved over the way it is right now. The scattering there is much, much better. It seems like there's a lot more rocks and asteroids going on, and the depth of that is vastly improved as well. Yeah, I'd go as far as saying that's one of the best ring systems I've actually seen in a space game so far. Again, yes, I'm aware this is just a demo. Now, some of this tech is coming to Star Citizen very soon. The new clouds that we saw a moment ago, the new atmospheric scattering, excuse me, the fog that we saw down on the planets, all of that is coming very soon in patch 3.22, which they haven't given a release date this year, but maybe they haven't given a release date just yet, rather, but maybe this year or maybe early next year. Look at the Rayleigh effects going on there, the Rayleigh effects. And the Moira scattering as well. Yeah, these clouds are really nice. One thing about this planet that kind of bugs me, is the amount of time it takes to travel from the space station here and exit the atmosphere. I'd like to see that change a little bit. I'm not a big fan of spending 10 to 15 minutes to travel from one point to another when it's just relatively insignificant distances in the grand scale of things. 15 minutes just to get out of an atmosphere is a little bit too long. But nonetheless, a really beautiful area here. Some lovely coloration going on. And we've just gone past a statue of a space whale there. Yeah, this does look better. This is definitely improved. That improved cloud system has made a massive, massive difference. Another ship. I think this is the new one, isn't it? Not bit. Oh, maybe not. Beautiful ship, and look at that, space whales. So more flora and fauna. I wonder if these actually travel all the way up into space. I have a feeling. I wonder if they're in fixed positions and just to kind of loop around, or whether they actually do have a journey they make. Whales that stay in the clouds, or whales that go all the way up into space? That's what I'd like to know. But nice to see. And that music is really fitting. Really gorgeous music. Now, as we come out of the atmosphere there and up into space, I like the way that space was dark, and the camera lens adjusts to the light of space, and we start seeing more stars and the background clouds there. That's a nice touch. Back into quantum jump again. Where are we going this time? Okay, so this is the Pyro jump point. Multi-scale volumetric spacescaping. In other words, volumetric clouds, nebula, and the colours here are absolutely beautiful. The transitioning music there, I don't know if you noticed that. That was a wonderful transition there as well. Now, I've only ever seen nebula as good as this, or close to as good as this, in one other place, and that is Space Engine. Highly recommend you check that one out. In fact, that's an absolutely fantastic piece of software. And here we go, a jump point. It doesn't have a structure around it by the looks of it. Makes it look like a naturally occurring phenomena. So a wormhole tunnel taking us, I guess, a hidden loading screen in a way. taking us to Pyro, where we've got another nebula. Now, Pyro's a very different system to Stanton. Stanton's largely law-abiding. Pyro's very different. A lot of crime here. And look at this station. Yeah, that's quite highly damaged as well, isn't it? But that's a stunning looking station. Really helped with that great looking nebula around it and that lighting. So there's going to be a lot of crime here, a lot of criminal factions going on here. Pyro apparently is playable right now at CitizenCon. People are playing in this area. That seems to suggest it is coming very soon for players to play. In fact, CIG did post a message saying that they're opening up a new test environment called the Preview Channel. This is separate to the PTU, or the live servers, a completely separate environment where they're going to be testing out Pyro, melanin-driven skin shader. Okay, that's pretty interesting. Neat looking tattoos there as well. So yeah, Pyro is not just being demoed here on this video, it's also available to play at CitizenCon, and it's coming soon onto the preview channel on the 31st of October, although CIG having a limited selection of people they're going to manually select themselves to be able to play it initially, and then they'll be expanding that out, allowing more and more people to play it. It seems though that for now, from what my interpretation at least, is that Pyro's going to be playing completely independently from Stanton. Eventually it'll be possible for players to transition between the two, although the server meshing technology is going to be required to achieve that. But I saw a tweet yesterday from CIG, one of the staff members there at least, not necessarily an official post, but one of the CIG staff members saying that server meshing technology has now been completed, which is, if so, is going to be a massive step for Star Citizen. This is absolutely gorgeous. What lovely environments. Very, very rarely see environments as good as this outside of single player titles. A little bit of a kind of a Mass Effect vibe going on there, maybe. Although Star Citizen is without a doubt finding its own theme and style, isn't it? So yeah, I mentioned earlier when we come up away from Crusader, the backdrop of the Stanton star system, how that looked. And this looks very different. Stanton seemed to have a sense of peacefulness and tranquility about it in the space environment. The red nebula here and the slightly more infrequent scattering of stars, I guess, really makes the place feel a little bit less welcoming. So, Pyro 3. This is, look at those light shafts just coming across the clouds there. That's fantastic. Yeah, these clouds very, very close to the quality of what I've seen in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Although hard to tell, because with Flight Simulator you can adjust the clouds manually in real time. And here we've not got hands-on with it. But nonetheless, they're looking really good. Ah, the new dynamic fire effects. So this was demonstrated yesterday at CitizenCon. The fires do naturally burn and they do spread. They will consume the environment. They require a heat source and they require a fuel source to burn. And obviously, look at the damage they're doing to the ship. What I would like to know is if they deplete the oxygen in the environment for the planet. Look at that. There we go. Okay, running through the fire, kind of understand, but this is a bit bizarre, just walking straight into the fire, but nevertheless, that's great. Now, firefighting is going to be a gameplay component. Players will have to use an extinguisher to put those fires out, or get rid of the oxygen source or the heat source. You can seal off the rooms and vent the oxygen out. And here we are back into the atmosphere again. I mean, if you didn't know a lot about Star Citizen and you just come in for the first time looking at it from the outside, this 23-minute seamless transition from one star system all the way across space to another star system is seriously impressive, isn't it? And I think that does a good job of selling the dream, the idea of Star Citizen. For those who have been following along for a lot longer, I know the reality is a lot different. It depends on where you fall with that, but okay, we've got that yellow coloration here. That is to do, I think, with the colour of the flora here. I think there's a lot of moss on Pyro 3, other lichen, and I don't know if there's yellow grasses here. But it really does give the planet a sense of uniqueness, a little bit of juddering going on there. Now that's one thing that was also mentioned yesterday at CitizenCon, that they're pushing for more uniqueness amongst all the planets. Age-old story, same story we've been hearing for a very long time at this point. But I think a lot of people are very excited to get their hands on some new star systems here, or new planets. So that base there, this is the sort of thing I always want to find when exploring these type of environments. If you're out flying around or out just walking through these type of environments, whether that's a single player open world game or, you know, like Starfield, or an online world like we got here with Star Citizen, as good as these worlds look, not a lot of use if they're completely empty, is it? So as long as there's a whole bunch of different locations to come across. And yes, personally, I do play most online games well, on my own, as a lone wolf. So I do hope there's going to be plenty of activities for the lone player to do. Hierarchical I missed that. Hierarchical object container technology for outposts and all location streaming. Okay, well that's typical CIG marketing speak, isn't it? They could be a little bit clearer about that. Now, I wonder if this is the same outpost as the demo from the previous Citizen Cons, where they showed Pyro and ran a big mission through that area. Looks very similar. And yeah, there's the water effects that we also saw yesterday. That looks seriously impressive, doesn't it? The only thing is, and I'm sure many of you are wondering the same, how is this all going to perform on computers when... oh, look at that. When Star Citizen has trouble performing as it is right now. But hopefully with the new Gen 12 renderer and offloading a lot of this onto other areas of the computer and servers, not to mention Vulkan API, maybe that will help with the performance. I guess we'll see it. There we are with the destructible environments. The thing is here, if the environments are destructible, they've destructed once. Will they, and destructible ships, will that environment regenerate? Will it repopulate itself? Or will it always be destroyed once shot down? Because obviously there's only going to be so many areas you can shoot and destroy like that. And this is the other thing, yeah, some improvements to the characters. Hope none of you are hemophobic. And there we have it, I think, by the looks of it. Now there should be a number of planets in the Pyro system. We're only seeing Pyro 3 here, as well as the station. Maybe they'll only implement 1 or 2 planets at a time. We'll have to see. But yeah, I think that all looks absolutely lovely. Again, I'm not commenting on it from the point of view as a game, as a game of Star Citizen, but rather as a demo showing the tech off for Star Engine. And as from that point of view, yeah, that looks seriously seriously impressive. I've also got another video out there talking about some of the details discussed yesterday, the ray tracing, the HDR and all the other tech that was announced yesterday. Do check that out. I'll link it there right now.